Hello and welcome to The Dirt and the Divine. I'm Krisha Young, your podcast host and an advocate for living a fully aligned and unapologetic life. This podcast is rooted in the belief that every beautiful life grows from both the messy and the magnificent. Here we share real, raw stories of people who faced life's hardest moments, took radical responsibility, and chose joy and alignment over avoidance. My hope is that you hear these conversations and think, well, if they made it through and found happiness, so can I. This space is about honoring both the dirt and the divine because together they shape a life worth living. Please note that this podcast is for general discussion only and not a substitute for therapy, legal, or professional advice. Now, let's dive in. Today, I'm so excited. We have Shojin. He is a DJ producer guided by a deeper mission to move energy, awaken feeling, and create space for soul level connection through sound. Rooted in hypnotic rhythms and grounded bass, his sets are more than music. They're invitations to journey inward, dance freely, and remember what's sacred. Blending dark, immersive textures with high vibrational flow, Shojin crafts sonic experiences that pulse with both raw emotion and spiritual depth. Whether it's a digital release, a late night rave, or an unreleased mix passed between friends, the goal remains the same: to help people feel, release, and remember. Because for Shojin, music isn't just heard, it's felt. And even if one soul is moved, the mission is fulfilled. I mean, what a bio, first of all. Second of all, you moved my soul. So mission accomplished. Um, I've heard you play a couple times locally here in Vancouver, and I have just really loved your sets. Like I've just been totally immersed in them. And I think the first time I saw you was at the Red Room, I think. And then the second time was Village Studios, and you were performing with Bass Tripper. And I think I still talk about it. Like it's just, it's an experience that I won't forget. And I don't exactly know why, but I found the set in SoundCloud. So I'm happy about that. But it was just like this, I never stopped for your entire set. I was just like constantly dancing and moving and feeling and just like so in it for that entire time. So I really think that you are so talented and so like connected to your mission, and really like did definitely brought me to my feet like that whole entire night. So thank you for your work in the world, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. And thank you for these kind words. Yeah, it means a lot.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you being here, and we're gonna jam out, so to speak. um One of the reasons why I wanted to interview you is because also I just have this love for drum and bass, and I don't know why. Like, and we talked about this on our pre-interview, right? Like, what is
Yeah.
it about the bleeps and the blurps and the that makes it so like compelling and like draws a certain type of person in? And I know, like, for me and some of my friends, we're just obsessed. We can't stop listening to it, you know. But the certain types and certain genres, there's all sorts of different types of drum and bass out there, which
Yeah.
we might get into, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But for now, why don't we start with like just start with your story. Like you were telling me that this was a bit of a COVID project. So why don't you tell us how you got started in this, and then we'll just kind of riff from there.
Yeah, of course. Um, so yeah, I guess starting off, um, from as far as I can remember, music has always been a very important part of my life. Um, it's as far as I can remember, it's always just been something that is like a very fond memory, right? I can always relate memories to music. Um, and that sort of just helps me like remember my life, right? Like I can remember my life based on events and music, and just build my timeline based off of music. uh, so that's why music is very important to me, personally. um, but if we get to the deep, or we get to the roots of Shojin, we flash back to COVID during lockdown. Actually, let's start before COVID. This was probably a year before COVID, where I got really invested in, uh, kind of more invested in what the DJs were actually doing up there. Um, because I've been raving for like 10 years, and those were really good experiences and memories. But I always beg to wonder, like, what were they doing up there to make people dance like that, right? And they were almost like the conductor and like the whatever you want to call it up there, right? So yeah, I just got really interested in that aspect of music. So every show, I would just try to get closer and closer to the DJ booth, just to see what they were doing. Um, that was literally my only curiosity at that moment. Um, so yeah, like this was like a year before COVID, I would say, and I just started wondering. Um, and then once lockdown began, I just had all of this free time where I could um, actually dive deep into what these guys were actually doing. Um, so yeah, I bought myself a little board, and I had all of this free time to just figure it out. Um, and when it really comes down to it, it's just playing music, and we all play music, right? We all use Spotify, we all use SoundCloud. At the end of the day, we're just playing music, right? And that was it. That was the most basic way you can say what DJing is, just playing music. Um, but yeah, I DJ'd for just at home for a couple of years during lockdown. And then that kind of tapered off. I didn't really have any goals or really like any clear goals with DJing. It was just for fun, right? Um, and it wasn't until I went to Shambhala for the first time where I really experienced, um, where music really touched my soul, and it showed me what I really had to do. And it showed me in an avenue where I it allowed me to feel something like that on that level. And and ever since then, I just followed that calling, I guess you would say. But that like ignited the spark again, and I just went full in, um, into this drum and bass avenue because it made me move like no other, right? Like I've I've been dancing to this kind of music for like 10 years, and I've never moved autonomously. I've never like moved out of my body. Like it wasn't me moving to the music anymore. It was like my soul. It was just free. So I think that's what really made me be drawn to drum and bass. It was just so like um, unexplainable, and I was like, this is cool. I want to share this with people, and I want to share this kind of energy with people. Um, and that's kind of the history or the making of Shojin.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love everything that you were saying there, and I love the first of all, thank you for sharing all of that.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
That's great. And there's so many things here, like I mean, there's so many little pieces in this that I think a lot of people can relate to, right? Like, for me growing up, music was huge, right?
Mhm,
But it didn't turn me into a musician.
mhm,
It just turned me into somebody who really appreciates music, right? And
mhm,
all kinds of music. And like I grew up in the 80s, and so I was surrounded by all sorts of different kinds of music, including like Led Zeppelin and David Bowie, and then Prince and Michael Jackson, huge
mhm.
influence,
Yeah.
and then all that 90s like hip hop and rap and like all the 2000s, like everything. Like the music has just been such a huge influence for me as well, and has just woven into something that is just like this melange of something that I find like what my gift is I can really hear when something's going to be really good.
Mhm.
Like I just have
Yeah.
that ability to know, like your new track. I'm just like, dude, that's really good. And so I think that that's something that's so resonant for a lot of people is like, yeah, like me too with music, like it's something that shapes us. We have memories associated with it, and
Mhm.
it moves us in such a profound way. And for you, it ignited this like this thing, but that thing didn't really get fully turned on until you saw the spaceships,
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
DJ deck, right?
Yeah.
They're so cool. And like all the lights and the toggles and the ups and downs and the knobs and whatever and the
Yeah.
EQ, right? Like
Yeah.
all of that. It's so fascinating. And to me, I don't have any real desire to like learn how to do that, but I have friends who are just like, I want to know how to do that. I want to be up there. I want to do that. I'm happy just kind of like pretending I know what I'm doing.
Mhm.
um so taking it to the next level like you did, it's skill. It's actually a lot of skill. And you said, um what did you say? Hang on, sorry, I'm just getting to that place. You said they're just playing music, but that's not what's happening, because
Yeah. Yeah.
there's like literally this weaving, like there's a
Totally.
lot going on a DJ deck, right? Like
There's a lot. Yeah.
yeah.
I
um,
think like just like the very like top of the very first layer is just playing music, but there's a lot when you go deeper for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tell me more about that. Like what else is going on? And like like yeah, tell me more about that, and then we'll get into drum and bass in a second.
Um, so for me, when I DJ, I'm thinking about a lot of things for sure. Um, but recently I've been trying to focus on like me first. So if I am vibing, if I am flowing, my energy will project out automatically.
Hmm.
And also, reading the room is very important as well. So that is also something I'm thinking of, but it's not my main priority for sure. It's kind of like that's already in my subconscious, so I don't really need to hold too much weight on that because if I do that, then I'm just playing. But my first part is me. Like I have to like what I play. I have to love what I play. I have to because if I love what I play, it gets me into a rhythm where I can play better things. And when that moment comes where I can read the room, it's very automatic. Like it just fits right in, right? But usually I have a pretty good idea of like who's in the room, right? Like what friends are in my room. And those are the people I can really play for because I know them personally, right? So if I know they're there and I see a song and I relate that to them, I'm gonna put it in for sure, right? But um, but in general, right, the shows I play, people are there to for the music, right? They don't really know who I am. I don't know. I maybe they do, but so as long as I play the music that they came here for, I think it's fine. But but then you go into this whole other world, right? Like open format DJs or like wedding DJs, like that's a whole different world, right? And those guys are really playing for the crowd and changing their vibe on a very short notice, which is really impressive, to be honest. Um, so I think for me, I had to worry less about that um, because for the most part, the shows are already curated, right? They book the DJs to fit the lineup, uh, which I really enjoy, right? Because I can really express myself. and I'm allowed to express myself in that sense. And yeah, that's there's definitely 100 more things to go into it, but I think those are the most important things I think about.
And
Uh,
okay, so I want to like extrapolate something here because a lot of my friends are artists. I'm an artist in my own right, you know, and in a different kind of way, like not a painter or a creator like of fabrics or music or anything like that, but my art is um you know, specific to me,
yeah.
what I do. So I understand the big part of what you said at a very visceral level, making it about you first. And I think, like, for any artist listening to this, that's a really important takeaway. Like, that's a huge takeaway because when you're making art for yourself, right? Then because art is deeply deeply personal, like art comes from our soul, it comes from somewhere very deep inside of us, right? And so if
Mm,
you look at all of the famous artists, or like, okay, well, look at it this way. If we look at artists that sign for a record label, for example, and then are stripped away of all
mm,
of their personality and their way of doing music or whatever in order for them to fit some sort of mold, they might make money and they might make records sell and all that kind of stuff, but they're kind of dead inside after a while, right? And then they say,
mm,
like, F this, I'm not doing that anymore, I'm doing my own thing, right?
mm,
And so I think all artists like either like stay committed to themselves, or they go off track and then have to go back to committing to themselves, because
mm,
it really is an expression of you. Like, yes, you're playing other people's music, or like, you know what I mean, like you're mixing
yeah,
existing tracks with your own idea of how that track should be mixed, right?
yeah. Mm,
Or moved around or whatever
yeah,
happens on those spaceships.
yeah.
But it's your channeling of that, right? And if
Uh-huh.
and if you are doing it in a performative way, or if you're doing it that's like prescriptive and like if this then that, and you're only reading the room, then I could see how that would be flat for yourself, but it would also be flat for the room too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think some of these other DJs, like you said, who do weddings and whatnot or whatever, they're playing. I don't know that they're really mixing, right? Like they're just playing like a Michael Jackson tune and then a Prince tune and then a R&B or something like that. Like they're
Yeah.
playing something that's already there, but what they're doing is they're watching the room for dips in energy, and then okay, now it's time for something high vibe, or now it's time for a slow song or whatever, right? But what
Yeah.
we're doing is so different. Like you're literally taking us on a journey, and you're weaving in your interpretation of what should happen here. Like maybe there should be more bass
Mm,
here, or maybe there should be more blurps and blobs here.
mm, yeah.
Those are technical terms, people. Frogs and rorts and
Yeah. And lasers and
yeah. um so I love that. I love that you said that, because I think it's a really important takeaway for anybody listening to this who does have some sort of art in them. If you're struggling with that, you know, like, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to create? What feels good for you?
mm,
Then I think a lot of artists struggle with is anybody going to like this?
uh, uh,
You know,
or imposter syndrome, like,
imposter
is it
syndrome.
good enough?
Is it good enough? And the other thing that I notice with my creative friends is I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And they're like, it's shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? I want 10. And they're like, no, it's awful. I'm like, no, 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 it's actually really good, right? So like there's this like it's never good enough.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way about your work ever?
I've definitely struggled with that for sure, but less now because now I'm just, you know what, I'm just gonna create for myself and I know that the people that will like it, right? As long
Nice.
as I like it, that's the number one thing. Like I will not ever release anything I don't like. That's my number one rule. Um, because then it just goes like against everything, right? Um, it'll never be for the money for me, right? creativity, I feel like is very tied to like yourself and your soul, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there are opportunities to make money
Mm-hmm.
off of creativity, but it shouldn't be I'm being creative for money, at least for me.
Yeah,
Right.
I hear what you're saying. And you know, there is this like idea that artists, like starving artists and all that kind of stuff, which I don't believe in that mindset, right? Because I do think that artists should be paid well. Like we all should be
For
paid
sure.
well for our crafts, right? Um, the way I look at it too is like, you know, I mean, whatever your craft is, right? Like you have just as much right to be widely celebrated and wildly paid as somebody like Michael Jackson, or to bring him up again, or
Hmm.
you know, a famous actor or an actress or something like that. You know what I mean? It's just that, like, you know, we glorify that type of celebrity or whatever, right? But I think that anybody who has like a supreme talent and a gift and who loves what it is that they do should be paid well for that, you know?
Yeah.
um why not, right? But I hear what you're saying. It's like you can't dangle the carrot and do it just for that, in the same way that we were saying before about like how you have to perform for yourself first, because when you're doing that, then you're very grounded. And that's the energy that I'm getting from you, is you feel very immovable to me. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
so grounded in that, like you can't be swayed in that. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is like, to me, it feels very much like a very strong value system for you.
Yeah.
Um, does this show up in other areas of your life? Like, where else does this show up for you?
Uh, it definitely stems from who I am, right? As a person as a whole, right? Like everything I try to do, I try to like, be very grounded and like very like clear with my thoughts because I know that there can be a lot going up there for sure. So I don't know, I'm very big on balance or trying to find balance. So uh, I feel like there can't be one side without the other. So um,
Yeah. Well, you're
yeah,
Libra, right?
yeah,
You're a Libra. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
yeah. So whatever I do, I try to stay very true to myself, right?
Mhm.
Uh, I'll give an example, right? Like work, for example. Um, I've been at my same company for like over 5 years now. Um, and recently I've found a good flow with work. And I work the best now. Now I know that I work the best if I don't feel like I'm restricted to do something, right? If I don't feel like I'm like in a cage while I'm working. That's how I like to. Um, that's an example I like to give, right? Because if I'm caged, I feel like I can't really express myself, even in work, right? Because for me, work is just work, but I like to take pride in my work. I feel like if I'm gonna be doing it anyways for 8 hours a day, I might as well, you know, like what I do or try to at least.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And have some gratitude in that. And I assume that you also, because you know your human design, right? You know you're a projector. I'm assuming that like you understand enough about that to know like not to burn yourself out and not to take on too much, and to
yeah,
like be in places that where you're recognized,
hmm,
invited.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I've
Um,
definitely been through a few burnouts in this job, so
yeah.
I'm definitely very careful of that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not a good place for anybody, but let alone a projector. Um,
Mm.
tell us, let's switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit more about drum and bass specifically, right? Because
Yeah.
um okay, well, like what is it first? What is drum and bass? Like let's just like tell people like what it is, right? So there's rock music, there's country music, there's hip hop, right? um
Yeah.
and then there's drum and bass, and then within drum and bass there's a bunch of different subgenres. So tell me what your definition of it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll kind of preface by saying, right, this is just my definition.
Mhm.
I I'm in no way like very like knowledgeable about the history or anything. Like I don't like research this topic at all. So this is just like my interpretation of it, and my knowledge of it, I guess. But drum and bass is very fast, very high energy dance music. Um, so it fits under electronic dance music, if you want to put it under that umbrella. But it is a just so a genre of dance music. Very fast, very high energy. Um, it's typically heard. I mean, it's become very much more popular in these past few years. Um, but it started off in like the rave scenes, right? Very underground music. Um, like you wouldn't really hear it on the radio, kind of vibe. Um,
Mhm.
but there is a few subgenres of drum and bass, uh, which I don't really want to get into that deeply because I feel like subgenres are just subgenres, right? But there's one called dance floor drum and bass, which is typically the one you hear the most. Um, Sub Focus, Dimension, Wilkinson are some big names. Culture Shock and dance floor drum and bass. Um, it's typically the most high energy in terms of um, like danceability, I guess, which is why they call it dance floor drum and bass. It's very bright and happy and fast and just very danceable, right? You can move to it. Um, and then there is another big one called jump up drum and bass. Uh, this is very, how do you say it? It's a little bit more aggressive than dance for drum and bass. Like you said earlier, there's some frogs. It could be some lasers. It could be some just. It makes you jump. It makes you jump up. Hence the name. Um, but it's less of like a it's less of a steady rhythm and more of like punchy and aggressive sounds. Um, but
Do you have you got an artist for Jump Up?
yeah, Sota, Sota
Yeah.
is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Um, Bass Tripper is Jump Up.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, so those
Yeah.
are two big ones.
Yeah.
Um, Sorry, I kind of like lost my thought.
Well, we were
Where were we
talking
going? My
about genre.
definition of drum and bass.
Yeah.
At the base of it is drums and there's bass.
Yeah.
Uh,
It says so on the tin.
yeah, I think what makes drum and bass beautiful is it's really just drums and bass, but they
Mhm.
pair so well together, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's not for example in rock bands bass is very steady. Um, I find that bass in drum and bass is very wild, very crazy.
Yeah. It's pretty
There's a
chaotic.
lot of movement and
Hmm.
a lot of like rhythm in the bass, which is really cool. And it grooves well with the drums. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, like the drum patterns are endless in drum and bass. Um, and it's just really cool to see those two elements, the main elements move like that, right? And you can hear both of them so like distinctly.
It's so beautiful. It's such a
Mm,
gorgeous like pairing. You
yeah,
like I can just I hear it all the time. You know,
Yeah.
it's always it's always running in my head. Probably because I listen to it all the time, but um there's also like jungle. I think maybe jungle might have been like how it all started. And it's like it started, I don't know much about the history either. But I think it started like, is it in the 80s maybe in the UK?
Yeah. It's
And
something about like reggae
yeah.
and dance hall. They kind of mix that together,
Mhm.
and they they took the elements of reggae and dance hall and put it together, and it became jungle. I think that's how it worked.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
jungle is also very cool. Um,
I love
some people put it under drum and bass, but some people don't.
it. Mhm.
Uh, some people are very insulted that it's put under drum and bass because jungle is its own thing.
Yeah, fair.
But I'm not gonna get into that.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not going to get
I
into the
like jungle. I
politics
like
of
drum and
it.
bass.
Yeah.
I like anything.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, we won't get into the politics of splitting hairs here.
Yeah,
Nobody be
exactly.
mad at us.
Yeah,
We just
I
love
did.
it.
Yeah, disclaimer.
Disclaimer. Yeah. Um, Yeah. Oh my gosh. I get a lot like on Instagram, I get a lot of like stuff on drum. I think I've sent you a few things
Yeah,
over the last few months, you know, just like whatever rando things about drum and bass and some of like really like old artists and stuff, you know,
uh-huh.
that like kind of like were the OGs of the scene, you know, and then like now there's also like trap, I think is a genre, and dubstep,
Yeah, yeah.
and like there's some genres that are a little too hardcore for me,
Mm,
but when I hear it in the club in like with a DJ spinning it and a speaker
mm,
in my face, I'm like, what is this? And then I get like
yeah,
Shazam out and I'm like, oh, this is so awesome. And then I get home and I listen to it and I'm like, whoa, that
yeah.
is freaking intense. But when you're in
That's
the vibe, it's like, this is so
it's
good.
for sure. It's like it's called bass music for a reason.
Yeah, right?
Right?
Exactly.
The
And
more bass, the better.
more bass,
For
the
the
better. Yeah, yeah, I love it. And it's just so like boom. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Yeah, okay. So, I wonder, I'm gonna try seeing if I can do this. So, everybody, please have some patience with Krisha as she figure something out here. I'm gonna go to share screen, computer audio. Um, work, I hope. Okay, now I'm gonna go to your song and I might play it like a few, like a little bit in.
yeah.
I love it. It's so good. Okay.
Thank you.
So okay, there's another genre. And I know when we did the pre-interview, you were like, I don't do labels. And
Uh-huh.
I'm only saying them here so that if somebody's leaning in and they're like, wait, what is this? Like, I want to know more. Then they can like look it up, you know, and look up certain artists or whatever and see like a little bit more about what this is. But I would consider this
Mm,
like liquid drum and bass, right?
yeah.
And I started to like separate my own drum and bass into categories, and I have like dinner drum and bass,
Uh-huh.
you know, something that's super light and easy to listen to. And then there's like like the bomb diggity drum and bass, like something that's like really hardcore and just like bang, bang,
Uh-huh.
bang, bang. I would consider this more on that like flowing, like liquid, like so beautiful. And I love female vocalists in drum and bass. Like I just think it's so wonderful. So tell me about this track. Like what was the inspiration for it, and take it away.
Uh, I was actually inspired by one of Bass Stripper's songs. It's called Through You. Um, and yeah, when I heard it, I was just like, wow, this is like so cool. Um, so that was a big inspiration for me. It's actually a no build up song, just like his song. So it kind of just has an intro and then it just drops. Like there's no like risers or like any like drum buildups, which is pretty cool. Um, but yeah, I don't know. This one was kind of just it created itself. Really, I don't even really know how it like the conception of it was. It just like I just sat down one day and I had an idea and it just became a song. Um,
Just like it's nothing. It's like a beautiful song, and you're like, yeah, it's just like the
I do think it
that's
was really
artist.
beautiful. But there was a like the vocals and some of the drum fills are actually like from African culture. So that was really cool. I really like, and whenever I make a song, I try to like bring in some sounds from different cultures, um, because I feel like every culture has a lot of cool things to share. Um, so yeah, I'm really happy it turned out good like this. Um, yeah, it's one of my favorite tracks for sure.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Well done. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good job. Yeah. So do you have any shows coming up? Like you're pretty local here in Vancouver. Um,
Mhm.
what are you doing over the summer? Are you doing any festivals or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm booked to play a couple festivals in August. I'm playing Electric Love for the first time,
Nice.
uh, their 10th year anniversary, so it should be super exciting. I've never been, but I heard some really cool things about it. Um, so that's like in the second week of August, I believe. And then I'm playing Altitude for the second time, um, also in BC, a little bit on the other side, um, a little bit, a lot closer than Electric Love. But Altitude Music Festival is run by some amazing people. Uh, and yeah, those are the only two upcoming ones I have so far. But they are big shows, so I'm excited. And yeah, playing a festival is definitely a lot different than playing a show in the city because I feel like everybody is at a festival to just have fun, right? And to just enjoy the music. Um, no responsibilities really. So yeah, I'm excited for that. Yeah.
Yeah. And what about in the city?
Nothing planned for the city so far, but yeah, I have no doubts that there will be some upcoming bookings. And I'm patient with that. But yeah, I'll let you know if there's any changes in that in the upcoming months.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, this is awesome. Is there anything else that you feel like you want to share that maybe I haven't asked you about yet or
Mm, I don't remember. I had something, but it's gone now.
on. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you for so I send I've been like fangirling you since I saw you at Red Room. I'm like, dude, your stuff's so awesome. And we've just been kind of pinging back and forth or whatever. And then after Bass Tripper, I was like, what was that song? And then you sent me the Free Bird, which like best, that was the best. And then I just kind of sent you a message and like, do you want to be on my podcast? And you said yes. And so here we are. So thank you.
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
really grateful for you being here. Yeah, I'm so glad that you said yes to come to my party.
Yeah, you left a really cool impression during that Red Room show. I think you were like one of the first people ever to like, just seeing you like so happy was like really, it really like affirms, that like I'm on the right path and like I'm
Yeah.
doing this right.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, I definitely think so. Well, I'm glad that we had an opportunity to talk and more and more people like will hear this interview and and then your name will get out there more and more and more and you just follow your heart and your soul and you're so grounded in that it's just awesome. Like, the right opportunities are gonna come and then it's so important that following that truth, that true north inside of you. Like I said, I've
Mm-hmm.
got other artist friends and DJ friends and stuff, and they're like, this gig is not aligned. I'm not doing it, like, even though it
Mm-hmm.
could potentially blow me up or could pay me
Mm-hmm.
something or whatever. It's not aligned, you know
Yeah.
so it's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in life. And I don't do this with gigs or anything, but I do this with other things in my life, is like the more you say, the more you say no, the better the yeses are, right?
Mm.
Like when you're, if don't just say yes to just anything. Say no to as many things as possible, because then the real pure beautiful yeses will show up, and then you just
Uh,
say yes to all of that.
yeah, yeah.
you
I
know
totally feel that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then it's also knowing who in your life to say yes to.
Uh,
Never know where that's gonna go.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been like alliance totally. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so tell us where we can find you. So definitely SoundCloud, right?
Yeah.
Spell out your handle for anybody who's listening, because we're doing this YouTube and on
Yeah.
audio.
You could find me on Shojin Music on everything. Shojin and then music. Um, you find me on Instagram. Uh, I'm really just on Instagram. I do have a Twitter, but I don't use it.
Oh,
Um, SoundCloud is the same handle. Spotify, I can't really say it. I can't because it's just like a link. Uh, but honestly, I'm very active on Instagram. So if you have any questions, you can just send me a message.
yeah. Or if you want to book, if anybody wants
Yeah.
to book you.
If anyone else book me, Instagram DMs
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or email shojinofficial@gmail.com.
Great.
Um, yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, well, and I'll put all these links in the show notes too, to make it easy for people. But I
Mhm.
always like to have my guests just say where people can find them.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you for being here. I'm so grateful, and thank you for just giving so much pleasure to my eardrums and my brain and my heart, and allowing me to just dance like crazy. It's one of the best things. Like, dancing is it is one of the best things that you can do.
Mhm.
Like
I agree.
there's literal studies on this stuff,
Yeah.
and I'm a huge advocate for it. Like, I've been doing these like little dance videos on Instagram for years now,
Yeah.
and people are always like, we love your dance videos, we love your, and so I'm like, when I hear that feedback, I'm like, okay, I'll do more. I'm like feeling super awkward doing it, and I'm like, I don't know,
Yeah.
people are saying that they like this stuff, I don't know. And it's just like my whole thing with dancing, just to share, is that like I do it for the people who can't. And I
Oh,
do it because like my grandmother, for example, my mom's mom, she's passed away now, but she loved dancing. But then like back in the day, you know, she got married to my grandfather and he was like, now that you're married, you're not allowed to dance anymore. And it's like,
oh,
excuse me?
that's
No,
crazy.
right?
Yeah.
And so like for all the women who like and all the people who just can't dance for whatever
Mhm.
reason, I'm like, I'll do it for you. I'm going to be an advocate for that because I love it. And
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful thing. And when I ask women in my coaching business, like especially when I used to do like all the health and nutrition coaching and stuff like that, I used to say like if there's one thing that you could do, one type of exercise, quote unquote, that you could do that would guarantee you that you would lose weight and feel amazing, blah blah blah, what would you do? And they're like dancing. I'm like, of course,
Yeah.
you know, it's
That's awesome.
such an awesome thing. So thank you for providing everybody with a avenue to do that in that just feels like so good and it flows and it's hard and it, you know, it's all the things. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that very much.
Yeah. Of course. Anytime.
Yeah. And thank you to you, the listener and watcher of The Dirt and the Divine. I really appreciate you being here. I hope that you enjoyed this wonderful episode. Please subscribe, like, share, do all the things. If you want to learn more about me, you can go to krishayoung.com to learn about my coaching services and whatever else. And you can find me also on LinkedIn, and you can find me a little more unhinged on Instagram at the Krisha Young, and I'm also on Facebook as well. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, my friend. I will see you
Thank you.
next time.